New tonight on KGW News, anger over ICE raids and treatment of protesters in LA brings demonstrators out in Portland.
And that we're making that peaceful protest is a part of our long history as a country.
Tonight, the message from Oregon's governor as the White House mobilizes the National Guard and Marines. Then another thief behind bars in a burglary ring that's hit dozens of local businesses. Plus,
another blow for groups that tried to block public access to Oswego Lake. Why a judge is ordering them to pay more than $1 million in fees.
And later, a day after the Beavers sealed a spot in the College World Series.
I mean, a whole lot of hard work and a whole lot of sweat.
We learned who they'll face first in Omaha. Good evening, everyone. We start tonight with new developments in Los Angeles, where immigration protests have once again prompted a huge law enforcement presence along with a federal response. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. As of tonight, about 1,700 National Guard members are on the ground. President Trump has also authorized sending in another 2,000 Guard members along with 700 active duty Marines. The military says protect federal property and personnel. Meanwhile, the state of California is now suing the administration over the deployment of the National Guard. Tonight, the city's mayor, Karen Bass, questioning why the president saw a need to send the National Guard at all, pointing out they're only guarding two federal buildings, and says local leaders have things under control.
I don't think that our city should be used for an experiment to see what happens in the nation's second largest city. Well, maybe we can do this to other cities.
The mayor says her office is aware of five ICE raids today alone on what is now the fourth evening of large-scale protests. Officers tonight focusing on keeping demonstrators off the highway using tear gas, flashbangs, and rubber bullets to push crowds back. Some people amidst the protesters, and again, it is just some, throwing objects at officers as well as shooting fireworks. Tonight, some Portlanders are echoing those calls on the streets of LA, with some holding a rally near the Oregon Convention Center. Alma McCarty's in the newsroom with details, plus how the governor is responding after the president sent the National Guard and Marines to Southern California. Alma?
Well, David, the governor kicked off a press briefing this afternoon with a statement calling President Trump's actions, specifically his deployment of the National Guard to LA, unlawful, and saying this undermines local authority and inflames the situation.
End the raids now!
ICE raids and arrests in Los Angeles spurring protests like this one in Portland Monday evening.
I know they may have violated the law, but I'll say two things. This is a country that's built on compassion and empathy for those who don't have, and most importantly, for those who come here for some form of shelter.
SEIU 503 President Johnny Earl making his message and the union's message clear.
When immigrant rights are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back.
There's something unfair where we're going to bring U.S. troops or National Guard to patrol city streets for people exercising their First Amendment rights. That's what this country was built on.
That's what this moment is about, is making sure that people have a voice. And people in our country disagree all the time. And we're allowed to have voice, and we're allowed to use it. And it's part of what makes the United States the United States.
This rally organized in part in response to the arrest of David Huerta, a labor leader with SEIU in California, federally charged with conspiring to impede an officer. 2 hours prior to this protest, Huerta was released from federal custody.
Our movement needs to be one of nonviolence. We need to make sure that we fight for the most vulnerable amongst us.
And to devastate the lives of hardworking immigrants.
Meantime, local leaders weighed in. Portland Police Chief Bob Day stressing their officers do not work with federal agents.
We do not engage in immigration enforcement, and we have been in contact with several of our immigrant communities even over the last 24 to 48 hours to assure them of that.
Governor Tina Kotek, speaking to the National Guard presence in LA, said this about Oregon.
The Adjutant General and I remain committed to only deploying the Guard when our mission is clear, purposeful, and supports our primary mission to protect Oregonians.
And given what happened over the weekend with vandalism to the ICE facility in South Portland, both the police chief and the governor warned protesters that violence, harm to public safety workers, and destruction of property wouldn't be tolerated. David, back to you.
Yeah, drawing a line between peaceful protests and criminal activity. Thanks, Alma. Appreciate it. Well, after a scorching last few days tonight, the heat is finally breaking. Here's a live look over downtown Portland, where we saw highs soar into the mid-90s. Chief Meteorologist Matt Safino here. Matt, did we break records today?
We broke records all around the state, as a matter of fact. We'll start in the Portland area yesterday, a new record high of 96 degrees. Today, though, we tied a record, not the high temperature record, but the warmest low temperature record. We only dropped to 64, and we'll stay way above that by midnight, so that will hold. So that's a new record warm low for today for Portland, tying the record there. Also set back in 1955. Now, a couple other locations for you, like down in Eugene and over in Hillsborough. Salem as well tied the record high at 96 degrees in Eugene. New record high there of 96 degrees, and in Hillsborough, record high tying the record high of 95. And then more in Southern Oregon. Some long-standing, like 100-year-old records were broken in places like Medford and Roseburg. More on that a bit later. Outside right now, it is 70 degrees, so it's warm for sure, but look at this. We're 10 degrees cooler compared to this hour last night. So we're 70 right now. This time last night, we were 80 degrees. And look at the cooling in Scappoose and Kelso, double-digit cooling there. Cooling in McMinnville. It's all coming up the Columbia River, that cooler marine air that we've been waiting for. And that's going to keep our high temperatures a lot cooler than what they were today, by about 8 degrees or so. Here are those northwest winds I'm talking about, and they will continue to deliver that cool air from the coast into the valley. So tomorrow we should top out around 86, which sounds a whole lot more pleasant than 94. David?
Yeah, relief on the way. Thanks, Matt. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, a woman has died this evening after a crash near the St. John's Bridge. Police say the driver crashed into the back of a stopped or slowing semi-truck, shut down Highway 30 just north of the bridge for several hours tonight. A passenger in that car also suffered serious injuries. In the Dalles, a 3-year-old has drowned in the Columbia. Their family was staying at a hotel nearby, and authorities say the toddler was able to get out of the room on Saturday morning. The 3-year-old was reported missing, and within minutes, multiple agencies began searching. The body was found in the river near the shoreline. Well, keep an eye out for this missing Portland man. Police say William Fregosi, who goes by Bill, left his care facility yesterday morning and has not returned. He was last seen in the Piedmont neighborhood near Northeast MLK and Russet Street. Bill uses a wheelchair and has significant health concerns. If you see him, call 911. And Portland fire investigators want to talk to a person of interest they think may have information about this fire last night at a home in the Humboldt neighborhood. Witnesses reported seeing a white man wearing a light-colored shirt with shorts and a ball cap sitting in a parked 2-door black convertible across from the house that caught fire. For about a half an hour, the fire started at the home on North Vancouver in Alberta around 6:10 Sunday night. Flames spread to a nearby wellness center, but crews kept the fire from getting too far into either structure. New at 11, while Oswego Lake is open to outsiders for the first time in decades. Great on a day like today, right? The legal battle over access, it seems, has one more twist. A judge has now ruled those who try to maintain the status quo should pay attorney fees for the other side. We're talking more than $1.5 million. Catherine Cook has the update.
New access to cool refreshment.
I feel like this is something that everybody should be able to enjoy.
It's what people like Michelle Karlebach are getting out of putting in at Oswego Lake.
It's not as far to get, over to these steps as it would be to get to the Tualatin or the Willamette from where you have access points there either.
This is only Michelle's second time using Oswego Lake since March. That's when a judge ruled that the public could access the lake at Millennium Plaza Park. It marked the end of a long-standing court battle brought on by co-plaintiff Todd Prager. He sued the city for public lake access back in 2012.
I've been really excited and happy to see all the use that it's been getting.
On Friday, more news for Prager to celebrate. A Clackamas County judge ordered the defendants in this case to pay more than $1.5 million in plaintiffs' attorney's fees since they argued in the public's interest and won.
I was really happy for our legal counsel. They've been doing this pro bono for the past 13 years, even spending over $200,000 of their own money on it for experts and court fees.
Per the judge's ruling, the Lake Corporation, which manages the lake, is on the hook for 45% of the fees. The state must pay 20%, and the city of Lake Oswego must pay 35%. In her ruling, the judge rejected the city's claim that it was a, quote, minor player in the case. KGW reached out to all three parties and is waiting for a response. The Lake Oswego Review first reported the story. In a statement, Lake Oswego Mayor Joe Buck told the paper,
I appreciate the judge's work to equitably discern between the multiple parties, interests, and issues, and the City Council will discuss the fee ruling in the near future with our legal counsel before taking any next steps. The park's private lake signs are gone now, and first-time users like the Roughton family are here.
So we are really grateful for the tip that we could come and enter the lake and paddle around, and it was gorgeous.
Access to Oswego Lake will actually improve in about a month. The city has until early July to remove these boulders and metal sculptures as part of the ruling.
You know, the spiky plants aren't the most inviting.
In the meantime, Prager offers this invitation to Oswego Lake.
It's for all Oregonians and anyone that wants to use it according to the park rules that are put in place.
In Lake Oswego, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
In an update, one of the ringleaders in a major burglary spree that targeted dozens of businesses across Portland has now been sentenced to prison. Courtney Carlisle pleaded guilty to 15 felonies. From September to December last year, prosecutors say security cameras captured Carlisle and another man using tools like crowbars to break in, steal safes, and get away with thousands in cash. Today, Carlisle was sentenced to 9 years in prison, the same sentence given to her accomplice back in March. Prosecutors say they are part of a ring of about 10 people, and they're still working to identify the others.
They're all different types of people, but they have one common goal, and that's to self-serve, break into a location, steal a safe, steal as much money as they can, and then hit the next place.
The deputy DA says this case would not have been successful if it weren't for a program that assigns prosecutors to specific areas to talk with community members about what's happening in their neighborhoods. New tonight, a Portland State professor is under investigation after controversial comments made in a video that is spreading online. In the video, which was recorded during a protest, the professor says, quote, "I am Hamas. We are all Hamas," end quote. That is the extent of the quote and the context we have right now. In response, PSU's president put out a statement saying the university is, quote, unequivocally against anti-Semitism, terrorism, and hate of any kind, including the statements made in this video. Portland State has put the professor on administrative leave while they investigate. You may remember PSU is among several colleges being investigated by the Federal Department of Education over reports of anti-Semitism, many of which sprung from last year's protests. The school says it has taken several steps this year to improve safety on campus while also protecting free speech. People gathered tonight in the central Washington town of Wenatchee to grieve the loss of 3 young sisters and to support their mother. A musician organized the benefit concert for Whitney Decker, the mother of Peyton, Olivia, and Evelyn. The young girls, police say, were killed by their father.
Yeah, music is magical, and it can do things that speech can't.
As for the girl's father, Travis Decker, a weekend authorities still have not found him. But tonight, the Chelan County Sheriff's Office says they have narrowed their search to the Ingalls Creek area. They're telling those who live nearby to secure their homes. They're not saying why they believe he may be in the area. We'll keep you posted on that.